Thursday. Let me get this camera flipped over. And I want to try it early. I think see if I don't know why this doesn't work anymore. All right. Apparently, something's wrong. But anyways, welcome to week 19. I sent you some early love, even though my hearts still aren't working. And everything I read doesn't work. So, yeah, I will continue to figure out what's going on. But welcome to week 19. Hope you guys have had a great week and maybe a chance to do something creative. Just a little message why I'm running a little bit late is we have some workmen here, so if you hear things in the background, hopefully it won't be too disturbing, but that's my husband is taking care of that, and hopefully it won't disturb us. But anyways, so today we are going to make a bracelet helper. So when I flip it over, I'm going to show you a couple examples of what a bracelet helper is, in case you don't know. But it's great if you're one of those people that, you know, just kind of struggles trying to get your clasp connected. I'm going to show you how a bracelet helper can help you. and I will say, you know, I've had one, a commercial one, for years, and I didn't use it because I tried following the directions that it had, and I have since discovered that there's an easier way. Yesterday, though, I also saw Betty Doyle, who sometimes watches us. Hello, Betty, if you're out there. Posted something that showed somebody was using tape to put one side of the bracelet on their wrist so that they could hook the clasp in there. And that's a great idea. But then you got to figure out how to get the tape off, and things are sticky. So I'm going to show you the bracelet helper. And you know, I can't tell you how to make one completely from scratch, because I don't know how to make a clip completely from scratch. The good thing is clips are not that hard to find. So we will show how to make one. And I'm going to show you a couple different options that are out there for getting, or for using to make these. So that's where we're at. So if you haven't already had a chance, I also want to remind everybody that our new Desert Southwest card and bead collection is available for sale. Again, the cards are, this is an expansion deck. Now, it can be used by itself because it does have all three types of cards, but it, you know, it's going to be very limited, and it's not even 52 cards, right? So, but it's designed to go with our deck 1 and our other expansion decks. I'm going to roll it into my deck. I think Memorial Day weekend I'll do it, just for fun. But Lorraine's already diving in, and she's doing a design from our new Desert Southwest deck. So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what she makes. But okay, so back to the thing is, we have a deck of cards. It's on sale for $16 plus shipping. And then we have 2 bead mixes that go along with that. So one is a mixture of crystals. There's a couple metal beads in here as well. These are nice crystals from Beadoria. They're 7 different colors, I think we did. And the colors are influenced. I have a little video out there on our page, basically by the blooms, cactus blooms in the Desert Southwest here. So there's also some green in here because the cactus themselves are green. So anyways, so we have that available for $12. And we also have what I'm calling the metal mix. And this is a pretty hefty bag full of Southwest influence stuff. You know, there's a couple things in here that are not you know, like I threw in a few extra like copper coated things, just because I wanted you to have a lot of different finishes. But it's a mixture of beads and charms, and there's no clasps in here, but it's like I said, beads, mostly beads and charms, in a lot of different finishes and with a Southwest influence. So again, that's also $12. Now, if you buy any two of these things, like you could buy 2 bead mixes, or you could buy cards in one of these, you save $2. If you buy all 3, you save $5. So, and quite honestly, you know, if you wanted to bundle, like, say you wanted 2 of these instead of, you know, 1 of each, you could do a bundle. I will not give the $5 off, though, if you buy 3 bead mixes. That's only going to get my bead discount. You have to buy the cards, okay? But, like I said, otherwise you get the multi-thing discount, which is just $1 per item. Okay? So if you want those, comment on the videos, send me a message at Desert Cat Creations, and I will take your order and respond. Shipping runs about, I start my shipping at $6, so you get 1 item at $6, but if you get all 3 items, I think it only goes up to $8, so anyways, I do this based on weight and cost. So anyways, I just want to let you know those are out there, and I'm really excited about sharing that with you. I went out this morning and took some more bloom pictures. There's a type of cactus, and it's and now I can't remember what the official name is, but they have these huge white blooms, right? And usually I'll see them on and off because they don't both bloom just once. They'll bloom several times throughout the spring. But because we've been so dry around here and had so few things, our wildlife has been getting to them and eating them before they have a chance to bloom. And I went out this morning and there were quite a few of them in bloom, so I was very excited to see those. It's a torch cactus, that's what. But there was also a hedgehog cactus in bloom with some beautiful orange blooms, so I will share those in the group later today, but that was really exciting. And, you know, I love this time of year because the saguaros, which are those big cactus, you know, with the arms that are normally sticking up, but the arms aren't always sticking up. So you guys have seen some of the posts I've done, which have different arm formations, but then they're all unique. But May is when those bloom, and, you know, they're white with little yellow centers, but they're gorgeous. And I love seeing them, and fortunately it's, you know, a little cooler today, so it's possible to go out and walk and see them, because sometimes in May it gets so hot that you can't see them, and if you don't go early in the day, they bloom overnight and then they fade throughout the day and they close, so it's, but the good news is there's a bunch of little blooms and they don't all bloom at the same time, so you can watch them for, you know, several weeks though. And then we get fruit, which will be a bright pink, or a bright, kind of a burgundy. It's not a pink, but a bright red, maybe reddish purple. So anyways, we'll be sharing all that as we go along. But let's go ahead and get started. I know people have other things to do, but I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera, and let's see what, just remind everybody what we're going to make. Let's see if I can stop that. Stop. We're gonna zoom in. There we go. I don't know why my camera's sticking out further. All right. So we are gonna make a bracelet helper today. So this is a commercial bracelet helper. I don't know who makes them. But it basically, you know, you need something long to hold on to with your hand, and you need something to clip on to your jewelry. Now, when we make these, I use alligator clips. And here's 2 examples of ones I've made in the past. Now, you can get clips that are cushioned, or you can get ones that are just plain, you know, raw, the metal. I honestly don't think it matters. Now, if you have something that's really sensitive, it could get scratched, but if you're careful, it shouldn't be a problem. But when they show the examples of these, it shows it, let's see, I wore a bunch of different finishes so we could do that. So if I remember correctly, and I didn't have it along, I do not any longer have the package that it was in, but their example is a lobster claw, which I'm showing you here, and they show it as you open the lobster claw and then you hook this on there to hold that open, and then you hold, basically you hold, you know, I ended up doing it upside down, but you hold it with your hand, and you're holding one clasp, and that allows you with your other hand to hook this in. Now, I was able to do it with that one today, but I have to say with smaller lobster claws, it doesn't usually work. Now, if you're, depending on how well your hands work, and we all know that as you get older, your hands don't work clearly or nearly as well as they used to. But what I do is I take the other end, so the hoop or loop that I'm going to hook this into, and again, you hold it on your wrist there, and then I use this hand to open it and then just clip it on there. And it's so much quicker. But I mean, like I said, you could do it either way, and it works for other kinds of clasps, which I'll show you when we finish, because we got to demonstrate the one we're making, right? So when you're looking for components to go into these, you can buy these clips with a pole, wire, whatever, sticking out of it, right? To use these, you need large hole beads. So on this one, I used, you know, a bead that had a nice large hole in it, and then these are size 2 seed beads, which fit on this one. This has a smooth base. Now, they also have ones that have this, it's more of that metal, twisted metal, and your chances are you're more likely going to find the twisted metal ones. So if those of you who bought the findings package from me, you did get some of the twisted metal ones, but I tried to give you at least a solid one. So this, the one with the padding is also a solid thing. Now it's got an additional coating on here to make it black, so I had to use slightly bigger beads. If you have any like silicone beads, they actually work great because they have decent holes in them. So that's what I have on here, is just some silicone beads, right? And then we used a just an earring stopper. Really carefully twist, basically you twist it on there, and then that'll hold it on there, right? So this one is actually held on here with these are little tiny rubber jump rings that I bought from Paid Me a Story in Maryland, and those will hold things still on there. You could wrap wire around. The wire will eventually slip though, so just keep that in mind. But anyways, that's how we work with the pole. I'm going to show you how to make one today using just the clip and some wire. So you get a whole bag of these clips. And what you can do is you can buy wood dowels and put them in there, and then just squeeze them on there. But we're going to show you how to use just some wire today. This one, you know, I left it kind of plain, and this is 19 gauge steel wire, so it's actually pretty stiff. I mean, it doesn't have to be super stiff as long as you can hold it kind of tight while you're hooking things in there, right? So with this style, and I'm not going to show you exactly this today, you could then go ahead and wrap some, you know, use wire wrapping to decorate this with different beads and stuff. But it's, you know, we're going to make something along that line. So I have my clip here. So that's the bracelet helper part of our bead stash we're working with today. We have to use a single to multi-strand connector in our design. So let's talk about those for a minute. I will say that it took me a while to find a couple in my stash, because most of the ones I have are sterling silver, and I wasn't going to use my sterling to do this, but I do have this single to double strand connector. So we're going to use that. But I also had, you know, I could make my own connector. I happen to have these beads that have a single hole on one hand, and they're designed to be three strands, you know, and I could put wire through there and make that a connector too, but I'm not. I just want to show you there are some options, but we're going to use that. So that's our single to multi-strand connector. Now you could certainly use any like components for like chandelier earrings or something. That would work too. We're going to use chunky beads in our design. So I've got a couple of just large round beads. I've also got this long one. This is one of the beads that you will find in our challenge bead bag, which I did not pull that card, but I may add it since we are using the challenge bead. So I'm going to say that we're using that, and we're going to pull that out. And the reason this particular bead is a challenge is because it's long and it's an unusual shape. So like if you were making a bracelet, you can't just put a bunch of these next to each other and have it go around your wrist. That isn't going to go too well. But, you know, we're making a long stick, so it's actually going to work really nicely for that today, I think. All right, we have to use rainbow finish beads or metals. So I have some rainbow finish hematite beads from Beadoria. They're just like faceted and then rainbow finish. So we've got those. We're going to use those. And then I have to add a pop of color. So, you know, a pop of color is just that. You're adding something in that's going to be stick out a little. Often yellow, red, orange are used as a pop of color. Today, I actually think I'm going to use these little turquoise beads as my pop of color because everything else is kind of neutral, but I do also have some like a yellow bead, which might be my pop of color too. I haven't decided because everything else I had here was kind of neutral, other than the rainbow. And then we just have some other assorted beads because we gotta, you'll see what I'm thinking in the design. But anyways, so my pop of color may be this yellow bead. If anybody is watching, you're welcome to vote on whether I should use the yellow as my pop of color, the turquoise, or I thought the green might go with the rainbow. But I think we're going to put it on the wire and see. So, all right. So anyways, those are our components that we've got to work with. So I'm probably going to use my steel wire again just because I like that. So this is dark annealed steel, so it's black, which is, but it will get on your hands. But it's nice and stiff because it's steel wire. So if you need something that's stiff that's not going to be jewelry against your skin, I think this is a good wire to use. You can buy this at hardware stores like Ace hardware stores. I think you can probably get it on Amazon too if you don't have an Ace near you. If I was going to use regular wire, which, I mean, we could try it. I would use at least an 18 gauge. So just so you know, 19 gauge wire and 18 gauge wire, depending on where you buy them, they're the same thickness, okay? I'm not going to go and teach you guys about wire gauges here other than the lower the number, the thicker the wire, okay? I know it's weird, but so we could try it with copper. Now, like I said, you want to, for something like this, you want to use the thickest wire possible, but you just have to make sure that it fits through all your beads. And I did check my beads, and it will go through either one. So so I think I'm going to use the black partially because I have this tarnished silver connectors, so I think the black will go with it better than the copper. But like I said, I would use thicker wire if you can. So the other thing to think about is how long do you want this to be. So if you assume that has to touch your wrist, and then you need to be able to hold on to it comfortably, I would say you need at least, let's see, from tip to the end, I would say you want about 4.5 inches. And the only reason, you can go as long as you want or shorter. Obviously these stick ones are longer, but they do come in different lengths. This is 4 inches, and it's probably the minimum you want, but it does work. And the shorter ones are nice for travel if you're sticking it in your little case with your jewelry. I always try to remember to carry one with me. All right, so we do have a little work to do here. So I am going to get my little heavier duty pliers. Yeah, these are Beadsmith wire working pliers, and they're great with working for if you're using thicker metal, like 18 or 16 gauge, they're wonderful for that. And the other thing we need, make sure, is that we're using memory wire cutters for the steel wire, because it'll ruin any of your other cutters, okay? So you don't want to do that. You don't want to do something too much. But my thought is I will make this, and then we're going to wrap some beads around it. So I'm going to aim for about 6 inches. So I'm going to cut like 18 inches just because I'd rather have too much wire than not enough. And again, I'm using my memory wire cutters because this is thick wire. Move that out of the way. So the first thing you want to do is figure out how you're going to connect it into here. And so what I did on this one is I made a small loop that sits in there, and then you can it keeps it from pulling out this way once we get it in there. So we can make our loop first. I want to make it so that I have extra wire coming down that I can wrap around the other wire once we get it in here. So I'm going to go down about a little 2.5, maybe 2.5 inches. I'm going to do a 90 degrees turn, and then I'm going to make a loop in here. You don't want too big, but you also don't, you know, want it too small because it has to hold your wire in there. The good news is you can collapse it a little bit once we put it in there. So, so I've got that loop, and then I'm going to wrap this around. You know what? I'm just gonna keep wrapping. Now, all of this is going to be hidden under our clip. So let's pull that on. And then I'm going to use, you know, this wire is, like I said, it's very stiff, so I'm going to use my other pliers to finish wrapping it around. Trying to keep that on screen without it bouncing off. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these pliers and I am going to, there's an opening in there, and I'm going to turn the one side open, and then I'm going to open the other side. Now, you know, be careful, you don't want to crack it if you open it too hard. And then let's check and see if our loop is big enough or small enough. It's a little big, so I'm going to just crush it a little bit to make it more oval. And then the once it fits in there, there we go. My wire is flipping around because it's long. It's sticking out here. Okay. So once it fits flat in that wider spot, you're going to want to squeeze these sides back in over the top of this. So I'm kind of squeezing it in, and then I'm going to flatten one side down because these are going to lay over each other. Okay. So I got one side flattened down, then I want to squeeze the sides again, and yeah, it's hard to watch. And then I am going to squeeze that one over the top. And it will continue to turn a little bit while you're getting things in there. All right, I'm trying to, if I stick that away from me, that'll help. So again, I want to kind of squeeze this in. And then I'm squeezing down from the top. Trying to get it not to move, but all right. So it may still move, but we can adjust it. It's okay. Now, on this one, where'd it go? I think I just brought the 2 wires back down after the loop, and then I wrapped it around the end, which is probably what I should have done here, but we're doing things a little differently. Okay, so now I'm going to start putting some beads on here. So I don't have a particular design other than I was going to put like the rainbow ones between things. And I really just picked a assortment of beads, shapes and sizes just to make it a little more interesting. Go ahead and use our big long bead. Now see, since my wire is not necessarily straight, that struggled a little bit to get on there because it's a long bead. And like I said, I think I want to go about 6 inches. You know, if I go a little further, that's fine too. Let's put another one of these on here. And then I think I need to consider my pop of color. I think yellow. Here, let's try. What if I used both? We can put a little turquoise, a little yellow, and another little turquoise, and then I am going to put one more of these. So I have, you know, just an assortment of pretty beads. So, so to attach this, I'm going to put a loop at the bottom here. I also want to leave a little space because I am going to wrap this wire back around. So I'm going to grab this with my chain nose, bend it, and then I am going to do my loop. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put this directly on here. I could use a jump ring to connect it later, but I'm just going to go ahead and put that on there, and I can always worry about the orientation of it later. So I am going to then complete my wrap. So since I'm going to be wrapping back, I don't want to fill in all that space just yet, but I am going to hold on with my pliers because, like I said, this this wire is thick, and I think I'm going to do that whole group there. And I'm just wrapping, you know, around each bead. You can, you know, if you're one of those real careful wrappers, you can make sure you're always wrapping on the same side. Now, you know, as far as this bead, I think I'm going to do multiple wraps around it because it's a nice long bead. And then we're going to just keep wrapping, and I am wrapping this shorter because I am running out of wire, and because I went all the way up next to where this is, I am going to do my final wraps around the bottom of the clip. And like I said, you will need pliers to deal with this and tuck it in. So There we go. We have a nice long handle. Lots of sparkle. And we have our connector. Now, you know, I don't want the connector just hanging out there. So let me, I forgot to, I'll use my, I have some gunmetal that I'm going to go ahead and make a couple dangles for here. Or we could use, we could do something faster by using our head pins. We'll just use some head pins. We'll do that. We could make our own head pins because we do know how. I don't know what you think. The silver's kind of bright. Maybe we will make our own head pins because, you know, we've got the wire. So to make our own head pins, we've done decorative head pins a few times. I'm going to cut about 3 inches of wire here. Now this is regular wire, so I can use my other cutters. And we'll just do one at a time just in case I didn't cut it long enough. And there's certainly different ways you can make head pins, but I think I am going to make the ones where we put the bead at the bottom. So I'm using my 6 size looper. I'm using the larger one in the middle to make a circle. And now once I get that loop, I want to actually that wasn't what I wanted. When it comes together here, let me put it back on here and finish bending this because this is not what I wanted to do. All right, once you have your loop that's about the size of the bead you want to put in there, you continue until it's you have a complete loop. Then I grab right at the edge of where the end of the wire comes together, and I bend my long part of my wire up so it goes through the center of that loop. Then what I'm going to do is just slide that on there, the bead on there, push it all the way down, and then just push the loop back towards the wire till it's touching, and you have a fancy head pin there. So I was thinking I would dangle these purple crystals. If it needs some more, I was going to use the rainbow there. Kind of thinking I want maybe a little turquoise. I might have to get another turquoise bead out. Okay. So, you know, I don't want to make this dangle too big, so I'm going to just stop there. Could certainly get my smaller pliers out, but these are fine. And then I'm going to hook this through one of the things. So again, if you're using one of these multi-strand things, you're obviously going to want to have as many dangles as you have strands, right? So, all right. I'm going to get my skinnier pliers out because it'll be easier for me to hold on to. So I'm just going to hold that and finish my wrap. And there we go. There's one dangle. Turn that. So that was, that 3-inch worked just fine for that. Now I may use a bigger bead on this other one. So I'm going to tuck my end in. And we have that. So now we need another one. So I'm going to cut another, I think 3 inches is fine again. And let's take our looper again. So you want to stick the end right in the middle there. Wrap this around the one that you want. Again, you're going to go just past where they come together. I am going to grab it right where they come together, and again, just turn this wire up so it's going through the center of the loop. And then we'll put this guy in there and push that back, and we have our decorative head pin. All right, so now what I want to do, so we have this guy. Now I could bring that green in, since I was thinking of using that, as opposed to doing more of this dark purple. We'll do that. See how that. I like that. We are going to use that. So, all right. So I'm going to grab right above that, bend 90 degrees. Use my round nose pliers to make a loop. Now I could use that looper if I wanted to, but I just, the round nose are easier because I don't have to have an exact size loop. It just has to be big enough to dangle in here. And I'm going to again use my skinny pliers, and we're just going to wrap that around because it's nice soft wire. We can use our hands. Once that gets tight, we will trim it. And tuck that end in. And there we go. We have a little dangle on the end. So let me get these pliers out of my way. The wire out of my way. I've got some excess beads. We'll move all that. And here's our bracelet helper. So we have our chunky beads. So all of these count as chunkies. We have our pop of color. We ended up with multiple pops of color, right? We have our rainbow beads, and we have our connector. Now, if you want this, so, you know, it ended up hanging so it's kind of straight down, so I think that's fine. All right, so let me take off my bracelets here, and let's show you how we can use this with different kinds of clasps. if anybody, you know, is interested in any of the hardware for making bracelet helpers, let me know. If you don't want the whole hardware thing, you can come up with it separately. So, all right, so I've got a couple different kinds of closures here. This one's elastic, so he's staying on my wrist. All right, so what we want to do, so you can even use this with a button. So let me show you. So what I would do is grab it right next to my loop. So I'm putting the tip right next to the loop. Then I'm going to stick this on my hand. Now, if you're putting it on your left hand, obviously you would do the opposite. I find it easier for my bracelet to, for me to come up from the bottom, but you can go either way. So I'm holding that loop, and for some reason my bracelet is like really stiff. It's not wanting to cooperate, which actually is a great reason why it's hard to sometimes it's hard to do this without the helper, but I can get the button into the loop. I think what's happening here is that I need that extra, there we go. It finally got through. That one's a little tight, and it was causing it to be stiffer. This clasp is sort of a box, but it's got a hook. This is a clasp that you often see on pearls. So you've got this loop, or what am I trying to say? We made clasps last week, so but this open end needs to go through the bottom of this clasp. So there's several openings, but you want it to hook onto the bottom. So see, if it comes undone, that's where it would stay. But by being able to hold this, then I can hook that in and then push that in there. And it helps me that way. And then I want to show you, just like the button clasp, you could also use it for a toggle. So I'm going to hold my bracelet down. Just, gives me a little more ability to not have drop my bracelet or be clumsy. And again, so this one you could do, you can do it the way where you open this. If it's hard for you to open lobsters, you may want to do it this way, where you would hook it. Like I said, you would open this, and then you put the hook so it's holding that open. And, you basically hold it down and then hook your loop over and pull that off, and it closes. So that's how you can use a bracelet helper with 4 different kinds of clasps. Now, the other thing you can do is also, especially like these ones, which I didn't decorate like the whole way down, you can always, if you don't want to use this, although in this case my cactus is going to be upside down, but you can stick this into some sort of holder, and you can put a picture or something, clipped into there that you can change in and out. So like a placeholder, you can use these small ones as placeholders. So even if you draw this card to make a bracelet helper, which is in our non-jewelry findings deck, and you're not into a bracelet holder, like I said, you can use this style of design for other things, like I said, like a card holder, displaying a picture, all sorts of different kinds of things. Or you can just clip something decorative to dangle from, like, you know, out in your window or something. So, all right, it's time. So that's the end of our week 19 bracelet helper design. And I said, hopefully you learned something about bracelet helpers. If you're interested, like I said, in bracelet helpers or any of our decks, let me know. Let me go ahead and flip this back around. So, okay, so thank you again for joining me. Hope you learned a little something about bracelet helpers. Like I said, I have to say, I used to be skeptical. I used to think that I was fine struggling to get my bracelets and stuff on, but I actually, I use it, once I started using it, and now there's days that I can't get my bracelet on without using my bracelet helper. So, that's where those are. So, if you haven't already, please like and follow Desert Cat Creations on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube. I am putting these videos over on YouTube, so if you're joining me or new to me from the YouTube side, happy to have you. Please throw me a comment so I know you're out there, and if you could subscribe, that'd be great. I need to get to 50 subscribers so I can broadcast simultaneously on Facebook and YouTube, or just do lives occasionally on YouTube. Right now, all I can do is upload videos that are previously recorded, so I'm not able to interact with you live, but if you help me out and get those subscribers up, that would be very much appreciated. And, you know, subscribing, liking, following, those are all free. They help me get more visibility, help me get my my name and my projects out there. So it's a great assist for small businesses when you can help people out that way. So I appreciate it. Thanks again for following me, and I will see you Sunday for week 20. We'll be doing our drawing at noon Pacific time on Facebook, and we will find out what we have to make, and we will have some sort of a bonus project. Not sure what that is yet, so that's why it's a bonus, and it's a surprise. So, hope you all have a great weekend. I will see you on Sunday for week 20. Thanks again. Bye.